The Carolina Panthers might go 0-17 this year. This is For Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. We are an NFL and college football show here on YouTube. So like, comment, subscribe, show support here on this show. And I think the Carolina Panthers might be even worse than we thought and are in bigger trouble than even the biggest diehard Panther fans could imagine. It's bad enough to lose 47-10 to Derek Carr and the Saints in week 1. But it's just the way it did it and the way it looked. I mean, they look like a worse team than the 2-15 team from last year. And while it sounds crazy and hyperbolic one weekend, and while the odds wouldn't suggest it's going to happen, I do think there is a tiny chance that this team could go 0-17 this year. Let's talk about Bryce Young for a moment. The second-year quarterback, the number 1 overall pick from last year, really struggled as a rookie. And there were a lot of factors. Obviously, the trade they made with the Bears wasn't a good one. DJ Moore left the team. David Tepper's out of control. He fired Frank Reich. It's like, okay, we'll give him a bit of a pass, even though he looked really small, not very athletic, and didn't make a lot of throws. Let's see how it goes in year 2 with Dave Canales. And yes, we're only 1 game in, but he's not growing. Pun not intended. Like, he doesn't look like a player who's taken a step forward. It's 1 game. The Saints have a good defense, but 13 of 30, couple of picks. It's not good, man. It's not good at all for Bryce Young right now. And if he can't figure it out, then you're just going to have to start over again. I mean, the trade is looking like one of the all-time bad transactions in NFL history, considering what the Bears have gotten from that deal. And by the way, trade's not over. The Bears have the Panthers' second-round pick this year. That could very well be the 33rd overall pick. I'm very concerned about Bryce Young. He looks small. He looks indecisive. He's not a premier athlete. And I've said this about him. If you're going to be that size, you got to be like Kyler. You better be able to move like that, and you better have a rocket arm. He doesn't have either. He has an okay arm, and he's a decent athlete. Not saying he can't have any level of success, but I'm pretty ready to declare that he's not going to be a premier NFL quarterback. He could evolve and become at least a solid starter, but we're a long way from him even being that at this point. And again, it's not all his fault. He's throwing to Adam Thielen, who's probably still their best receiver. The kid out of South Carolina, we'll see what he turns into, but I mean, does he profile as a future number 1? He's kind of a poor man's Deebo Samuel. He doesn't run great routes. And oh, by the way, to add insult to injury or injury to insult, Derrick Brown, their really only premier player on the roster that's proven up to this point, oh yeah, he's out for the year after 1 game. I mean, could it get any worse for Carolina right now? And what's crazy about this is not some franchise that's had no success. They went to a Super Bowl in this century. 2 Super Bowls this century. 1 in the last decade and 1 against the Patriots back in, 03, 04? Almost won that one. The Cam Newton team went 15-1. It's not like Carolina hasn't been good at all. But now they're so far away from even being competitive. I mean, it's one thing last year if you're 2-15 and you have 10 one-loss scores. They're getting blown out left and right. Sure, they were close at a few games, but 47-10 to Derek Carr and the Saints. 47-10. I think the Saints are improved. I think Clint Kubiak's going to help that offense, but that's how you start a season after you change coaches, you have a bunch of draft picks. I don't know, man. It doesn't look good whatsoever, and I just look at this roster, and where are the difference makers? They don't even have some good players, really. They have some young guys you're hoping become good, but after Derrick Brown, who is this team's most valuable player? J.C. Horn? He got torched in week 1. He's a good player, but corners have passed him by. Where's the talent? A lot of bad teams in the NFL, it's like, okay, there's 4 or 5 guys where you can really point to that are good players, right? Where are they? I mean, it's just not there. and especially at the important ones. And by the way, Xavier Legette was the player I was referring to earlier. I think he's got a chance to be decent, but we're still living in a world where Adam Thielen is leading a team in receiving. That can't happen. I mean, that is as bad as it gets. So coming up next, I'm going to really dive into, is 0-17 actually on the table? Obviously, history would tell you that's a long shot, but I don't think it's as crazy as it sounds on the surface. But I want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel. If you want NFL content on a daily basis, plus some college football coverage, we are the channel for you. I'm publishing videos every single day, sometimes multiple per day. Put out a video earlier this morning on my theory that Mike Tomlin just wants to play Justin Fields over Russell Wilson, regardless of Russ's injury situation. Giving my opinions and analysis on everything around the NFL and college football. So come rock with us here on 4Verts. It's free. All right, could Carolina go 0-17? Like, could it actually happen? Again, would I bet on it? No. Would I rule it out? Honestly, no. They're probably going to be underdogs the rest of the way. And think about how unlikely that is for an NFL team to be an underdog in every game. I think that's going to be the case. And by the way, Vegas really missed the mark in week 1. 3.5-point dogs against the Saints. That line kept creeping in Carolina's favor. I'm like, what am I missing here? They're not going to beat New Orleans, much less compete. Now, did I think they'd lose by 47-10? No, but I think Vegas will now probably overcorrect and make them big underdogs most week. You look at their schedule. I'm just going to go game by game, and you can see what I view as the easiest games left. This week, Chargers at home. I don't see that being a win. Could I have added this to this list? Maybe, but Jim Harbaugh is going to kick their ass. That's how I see it. At Vegas in 2 weeks, that's a possibility. Cincinnati in week 4, I get they lost to New England. I don't see it. At Chicago, I don't see it. Atlanta at home, nope. At Washington, maybe, but it's on the road, and that's what's tough. At Vegas, at Washington, at Denver, probably 3 of their easiest games on paper, they're all on the road. They're going to be underdogs in those games. Saints again in week 9, nope. Giants in Germany week 10, maybe. I'd still probably pick the Giants, though. Bye week 11. Chiefs week 12, nope. Bucks week 13, nope. At Philly, nope. Dallas, nope. Arizona at home, I don't see it, but maybe. At Tampa, at Atlanta. Now, again, are they going to run into a win or two? Probably, but you tell me on that schedule, even if you're a diehard Panthers fan, we're for sure going to win that game. There's no way you could say that with any sort of confidence based on what you've seen last year and to start this year. This team is bad, man. It's really, really bad. And what sucks is when you're really bad and you don't have a lot of capital. Now, that'll start to kind of replenish this year. If they get the number 1 pick, they'll keep it this year, obviously, regardless. They'll have their first-round pick, but they're still going to lose that second-round pick to Chicago. This is, what's the earliest this team could be competitive? Probably 2026? I don't know. You're praying Bryce Young can figure some things out this year. That's the number 1 goal right now is getting a concrete answer on Bryce Young. And, I think by the end of year 2, in most cases, you should have an idea. I think we're trending toward knowing the answer. And here's what's tricky. You probably should just trade the number 1 pick, do the opposite of what you did a couple of years ago with Chicago, replenish, let Bryce Young play next year. He's probably not the guy, but, if he is, awesome. But then you'll have a bunch of picks for the following draft. Do what Chicago did. Hey, new regime probably doesn't think Justin Fields is the guy, but we'll trade the number 1 pick, get some assets, and then, they got a little lucky that Carolina's pick was number 1. But that's what Carolina should do. They should find a team, if they get the 1, 2, 3rd pick, whatever, trade with that team, get some assets built up because you're just so far away from contending. But I could see Tepper freak it out and just, hey, let's draft a quarterback. And then you're kind of in the same situation. So if you bet against the Panthers the rest of the way, you'd probably make some money. Even if you just money lined it, they're going to be favorites. But if you do that all year, you're going to make money. I'd be shocked if they won more than 2 games. They don't look improved. I like the Canales hire on paper. We'll see how that goes. But coordinators that become head coaches don't work all the time, and maybe he's not the right guy. It's way too early to know that. I do feel pretty good about Bryce Young's going to have limitations at minimum for his career. He's just too small and unathletic. You can't be both. You can be small and a premier athlete like Kyler Murray. I mean, people want to say Drew Brees. Drew Brees was taller, he was thicker, and he's one of the quickest decision makers in the history of this league. Like that, he's an outlier. Bryce Young doesn't feel like an outlier. He feels like a guy who's too small and unathletic to play quarterback in the NFL at a high level. So, not trying to beat a dead horse for any Panthers fans out there, but I think this team's in major trouble this year. All right, I'm Harrison Graham. If you agree that they could go 0-17, let me know, or let me know how many games you think they will win this year. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys next time.